Hi guys, thanks for joining me and welcome to this week's episode of Saint of the Week. So this week is a little bit of a more unusual week, something a little bit different. This week there are 3 saints that we wanted you to learn about and reflect on their lives. So I'm going to tell you why we're doing that, and then we're going to hear the stories of 3 saints before a little conclusion. So we're currently in the month of June, and June is a month when we're called to reflect on the love that God has for us and how we reflect that love into the world. And one of the ways that we do that is on our journey to being saints. A big part of being a saint is recognizing that we are loved by God and then loving those that we meet. All of us are called to be saints. All of us are called to live great lives. But all of those calls will be slightly different. And I think the 3 saints that we're going to hear from today all offer different things that they heard that they were called to and how they responded in the perfect way. So here's 3 saints who all celebrate their feast this week, who all offer us something on what it means to be called by God.
Saint Alban was the first martyr to give his life for the faith in England. Very little is known about his early life, but he died sometime around the year 300. At the time, Christians were being persecuted in England. A priest appeared at his door and asked for Alban to hide him. Alban obliged, and upon spending time with the priest, was converted and baptized as a Christian. Sometime later, the house was searched by the authorities, and Alban said that he was the priest. When it was discovered that he had lied, he was sentenced to death. On the way to his execution, several miracles occurred, including the appearing of a spring when Alban grew thirsty. Saint Alban was beheaded, but the executioner could not rejoice in his death because legend has it that his eye fell out.
Saint Etheldreda, she lived in the 7th century in England. Early on in her life, she felt called by God to devote herself to him and to never have children. Her faith was strong and inspirational to other people, and even though she was married, her faith convinced her husband to respect her wishes. When her husband died, she became a nun, established a religious community in Ely, and built a church which later became a cathedral. She died of a tumor in the year 680, but many years later, when her body was dug up, it had not decomposed at all.
Saint Aloysius Gonzaga. Aloysius was born in a castle to incredibly wealthy parents. He was the eldest child, and it was expected that he would become a soldier before inheriting his father's wealth. From an early age, however, Aloysius felt called to be something greater and decided to be a missionary priest, spreading the good news to those who did not know Jesus. His family tried to stop him, but he persisted, moved on to Rome, and became a monk. In 1591, a plague broke out in Rome, and Aloysius insisted on serving the sick and ministering to them in a hospital. He contracted the plague and eventually passed away. Aloysius is the patron of young Christians and young students.
So all 3 of those saints were called by God to be saints, just like you are. But all 3 of those saints found their calling in different ways. Saint Alban was approached by someone, even though he didn't know anything about the faith, and yet he was so inspired and so changed by the call that he was willing to give his life for his faith. Now, hopefully none of us will ever be in that situation, but we are all called by God to be proud of our faith and to be bold in proclaiming it, just like Alban was. St. Etheldreda reminds us of the importance of doing what God calls us to do. She was called to live a life devoted to God, and her faith was so inspiring that she inspired others. So if God calls us to live a perfect life like that, hopefully we will inspire others through our actions. And Aloysius was called to care for people, to serve people, and to love people in a very real way, even though that was dangerous to his own life. All of us might receive a call similar to that, to love others. But in Aloysius' case, it was to stop following a life of luxury and focus on serving others. So this week, take some time to reflect where God is calling you from and what God is calling you to, and how you can respond to that call. Have a great week. Goodbye.